Moves. How are these moves looking?
All right, welcome everyone online.
How are the moves?
Welcome. We are live now. This is
That's
PCC Late Night. Hey, everybody in the audience, say hi to everyone online. Share, wave. All right, say hi to mom. You guys can have a seat now. We are so glad you're here. This is PCC Late Night. We are glad that you're a part of what's going on. This is our first show since basically, March? Or was it? We went like 6 weeks.
It was later than that.
It was something like that, yeah. So anyway, we're glad you're here with us tonight. This is brand new. We're going to do a live show that's kind of like a talk show in which we're going to basically interview different people. We're going to laugh. We're going to do life together. And we want to grow closer to God more than anything. We want to create a community that you guys are going to want to be a part of. And so every night at the end of the night, even those of you online right now, if you want to meet us where we say we're going out to eat, we're going to eat at 8:30, come join us. Just join the crowd. You don't have to be here in the audience to go participate and be a part of it. But this is going to be a great way for everyone to get to know people. I think we're all dying for a little bit of social activity. How many of you guys have just been, you couldn't wait to see people again? You're like, yeah.
Raise your hand,
right.
Matt.
Yeah.
100%.
So we're hey, you're online there, Winky. So just making sure you understand. No, I'm kidding, buddy. But we're glad you're here tonight, and we've got some fun activities planned.
Yeah, some super fun activities planned. And as Byron was kind of giving you guys tips, emphasis on laughter, okay? We're going to have a great time, and laugh at us when we're being stupid, too, okay? We're just, you guys matter a lot. So, yeah.
Hey, well, Colin, by the way, did you get really bored this week or something?
I don't know where this is going. I'm a little nervous. I'm getting really nervous. No, I don't. Something makes me feel very uncomfortable. No, I don't want to hear this. Stop.
You got really bored this week, didn't you?
I did not.
So this next thing we're going to do, we need audience participation. We've got a mug over here. Can you lift that up? Can you be Vienna for us?
Hey, there's a mug here.
Yeah, the mug is the Stormbreaker mug from Avengers.
Big deal. It was a big deal. Come on. Yeah. Anybody else like it when Thor crafted his own little axe and just started cutting heads off? It was pretty amazing.
We are giving this lovely mug away. So if you like coffee or hot drinks, it's perfect for that. Or if you just want to look like you're really awesome and you geek out, you want this displayed on your coffee table or in your dorm room or wherever it may be. So what I was getting to with Colin being really bored, how many of you guys have just Googled random things on Google?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Now I know where we're going with this. Okay, I'm good.
So we're going to do kind of basically a contest here, competition. You want to explain a little bit more, Colin?
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have watched late night TV or even daytime shows, but they like to play games with the audience members. And as I was watching just what different late night shows do, I was very entertained by some of the stuff that I saw. And so there's a segment on one of these shows, I can't remember which one, but I feel like I got to give credit somewhere.
Family Feud.
No, not Family Feud. I think it was, I want to say it was James Corden that did this, but it's a show about where people, what people are Googling online. And so we have to figure out the answers. So when you type something in on Google, it drops down and it finishes your statement. And so we as an audience are going to try to figure out how to complete the statement based on what people were searching on Google. And so, Byron, if you want to get the slide going.
There we go.
So here's the deal.
No cheating, by the way.
And no cheating. So put your phones away. Don't be looking at your phones here.
No.
None of this.
No cheating.
None of this looking at your phone business. So here's what we're gonna do. Am I good in this camera here? I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
So what people are asking about is what they can milk. Can I milk A? And we're trying to figure out what the top 8 answers are. Kind of like Family Feud. We got to figure out what people are wondering.
Search this.
What to milk. And so here's what we're going to do. The person with the most correct answers.
No, the top answer.
Well, with the most correct answers will win the mug. If people can only get one correct, the person with the highest answer wins. So you want to shoot for number 1, but if number 1 is taken, start sniping the lower ones. I mean, honestly, you guys don't know what they all are.
It's random.
It's super random. So Do we want to have anybody come up here and give a
all right.
guess? All right, Tyra, Kyle, we'll have you both come up. And we'll just rotate through. Okay, so I'm going to give you a hint, because I don't need anybody to say this. A female cow is not one of the answers, okay? So I just need to let you guys know that is not. I'm giving you an easy one. That's not one of the answers. Tyra, we'll start with you first.
Goat.
Is goat an answer? Oh shoot, I probably should have my phone out checking the answers. It's not. It's not an answer. I'm sorry. That's not an answer. I know it's not an answer. Goodbye. All right, Kyle, what's up? What you got?
A giraffe.
It is. That is the number one answer, giraffe.
What?
Yep, the number one
Did you
answer
look
is a
that up?
giraffe.
How did you know that?
So apparently,
Giraffe?
you can take a seat, Kyle, but now you're in the running. We need people to step up and start getting some of these answers.
All right,
so here's
all
the
right.
thing. Apparently, like giraffe milk is like super good for you, but you can't purchase it because obviously that would be like animal cruelty to
That
start
would
breeding.
be awesome if you
And
drove
I
by
hear
a
it's
farm
very
and it was
difficult.
all giraffes.
I hear it's very hard.
How?
I hear it's very difficult to milk a giraffe. It's hard to get them standing in one place long enough.
You take some tall
You
people
need
with
like
ladders.
a ladder.
So anyway, do we have anybody else that would like to take a guess? Yes, Gabe. I'm gonna have you come up here, man. You need to take that hike a little faster than that. We need some movement. You're excited to be here.
There we go.
All right, what else do we got here? Almond? Nope. No nuts, actually. No nuts are on the list.
No
nuts.
Man.
All right, Winky, I'll come to you.
Yeah, you can just go around to people.
Come here. Can the audience still hear?
The audience can see you.
Hello.
Okay, what's the answer, Winky?
Yak.
No, it's not a yak. Sorry, you guys are not the greatest at this.
Colin.
Mo,
Who
all
wants
right.
to play?
All right, you got a mic on your own. Just say it.
But I want to use yours. No. A dog?
A dog is not on the board. Yep. Come on, guys. We need to get some more answers. All right, Matt, let me come to you.
A bull.
That is not. Oh, actually, that's a male cow, right? It is. It's on the board.
Woohoo! What number was that?
That was 6.
That
What's
seems
your name?
very dangerous.
Kimberlyn.
All right, this is Kimberlyn.
Cat.
Cat is number 2. That's a number 2 answer.
Wow.
So,
all right.
so my wife Deidre and I, we have a cat. We might try this. Well, he's a guy, so that's not going to work. But we might try this when we get home tonight. But he's a guy. That'd be weird. All right. Anybody else?
We got one back there.
Oh man, I didn't realize he'd be running around this much. All right. What's your name?
Katie.
Katie. All right, Katie. What's the answer?
A sheep.
A sheep is not. It's not. I'm sorry, guys.
Let's go with
Not
two more.
All right.
Evan there.
Evan. All right. Evan, what we got?
A camel.
A camel is also not on here. I'm sorry, guys. Come on, let's get some more farm animals in here. Kyle, we'll let you go for another one.
Is a farm animal a hint?
A hen? That would be. Yeah, it's a hint.
Okay. Can you do?
No, you taking.
We got
too
one over
long.
here.
Doing
We got
one
one
more
over here.
What about a horse?
It is. That's
A
number
horse!
3.
A
A
pig.
horse.
All right,
Fine.
Colin. Let's just
All
run
right,
down.
Christian. Can we get a second guess from you? Let's see if you can take top place.
Is that a farm animal? What about a donkey?
A donkey? No, that's not the right answer. But that's a chicken. But. All right, what am I doing?
You've done your job. Hey,
All right.
everybody, give it up for Colin.
So, does anybody want to know what the answers are? I mean, this is pretty weird. I mean, obviously, we're not the general public looking this up because we couldn't get these answers to save our life. So we did get the first 3. We got giraffe, cat, and horse. The 4th was a cucumber. I don't understand.
Did you even look up how you do that?
No, is that a real thing? I don't know, but
I've never heard
that's a
of
little
that.
disturbing, like milking a cucumber. I don't know. I've never done that before. But I don't really touch food at all in the kitchen. The 5th answer was a snake.
Yeah, you milk venom out of a snake. Have you ever seen that? Yeah, it's.
Number 6 was a male cow, which we got. Number 7 was a pig. Raise your hand.
Pig.
Raise your hand if somebody paid you $1,000, you would drink pig milk.
I would do that.
I would do it for
$1,000
free.
pig milk. You make anything cold enough.
And then number 8 was chicken. So you guys did great. We'll give a round of applause for the audience getting half of them. Kyle, this is yours. Why don't you come up and claim your prize?
So Mo, I've got
Kyle
a
always
question for you.
wins the prizes. I feel like.
For those
That's
of you
pretty
who don't
good.
know who this lovely young lady is here, she was an intern for ABC this last school year. So she's done some real good journalism and we
storytell.
you storytell, yeah. So what's the weirdest thing you had to Google while you were working at ABC News?
Weirdest thing?
Yeah, what's the strangest thing you had to Google?
There wasn't anything necessarily odd, but I had to do a story on something I knew nothing about, which was like finances.
Okay.
Pretty.
Oh, no.
Because it was like about how the stock market was affected by COVID.
Okay.
So I had to Google all the stuff about taxes in the stock market. But they never had me do anything weird necessarily.
Okay. All right. All right. What's the weirdest thing you guys have ever had to Google? Tell your neighbor next to you,
Yeah,
or
but-
tell someone, what's
don't know
the
if we-
weirdest thing you've
I don't
ever
know.
Googled? I mean, really, it's a great conversation starter.
Comment if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube right now. Comment.
Yes. What's the weirdest thing online? You got all three viewers. What it is that you've, Googled. So.
I don't.
All
wanna
right,
know
real
some of
quick
these
here
answers.
in the audience, whose neighbor had something really good that they Googled?
Oh boy.
Who? Anyone want to embarrass their neighbor for what they said? Maybe no. Going once. Anyone have anything good at all? They're like, no, I don't want to.
What's the weirdest thing you've Googled?
The weirdest thing I've ever Googled probably had to do with. I'm trying to think of it. Oh, I Googled how to give a funeral message. That's kind of strange.
That's just depressing.
Yeah, I know. You get some really interesting responses. Some good stuff out there. And then I actually ended up using a better resource than using Google. But yes. So hey, by the way, we have a special guest here with us tonight, and I want you guys to give a round of applause for Pastor Scott Davis. He is our care pastor here. And Pastor Scott Davis gets to do a lot of weird things at Pathway. I don't know if they're really weird, but you do take some interesting phone calls sometimes.
That is correct. Yes, we've had phone calls from people that thought others were trying to enter their brains. And so they wanted to know how to be able to keep that thought out of their head. And so that's been probably for us.
Are you
some of the,
serious?
yes. So they
Someone
called
actually
the
called
church.
saying,
Yes, that they had some type of other
they were-
being,
Like they were getting possessed or something?
just something was coming over them, and they wanted to be able to find out a way to keep that out.
all right,
And
all right.
So we told them to call the Baptist church. Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
All right. Well, as it says, Pastor Scott Davis, he's our care ministry pastor. Can you give them a quick overview of what care ministry is?
Sure. For us in Care Ministries, we want to make sure that everybody has a full life in Jesus Christ. We know that when you follow Christ, the goal is to be able to align yourself with Him, but we know that there could be habits, hang-ups, hurts that we go through. And so our goal is to make sure either through counseling or support groups or just pastoral care, or like Byron said, if you have a death in the family, anything like that, we come alongside you guys during some of the deepest, most intimate and darkest times of your life to be able to help you navigate those times in your life. So from a care point, we want to give the best possible support we can.
Yeah. And so we're in a new world right now with the pandemic going on. And, a lot of people have been in quarantine, isolation, we're getting out. But yet, if you look around in the room right now, everyone has a mask on except for us here on stage. And it's just different. Every environment you go into right now, you really don't know what to expect. You're like, what are the rules? Are we going to be allowed to sit next to each other? Do we have to wear a mask? And for a lot of people, that's causing a lot of extra anxiety and depression and other issues. And so as a result, care ministry, you guys are probably getting a lot busier with helping people right now.
Sure, coping mechanisms. You cannot go outside without a mask, without wanting to know how far away to be from somebody. And then a lot of people are asking the question, what is God thinking? What, a pandemic? Come on, a worldwide pandemic. So what's God up to?
So before we dive into our topic tonight is actually coping mechanisms. We all have them. We all deal with stress when we're worried or anxiety. We all deal with it differently, and we go towards something, one or another, in which we try and find ways to release that anxiety that we're feeling. But I want people to know a little bit more about you, Scott. So how did you even get into ministry to begin with?
I get into ministry. Well, let me just, long story. Okay, so I'll make it short. As far as a journey goes, grew up in a Christian home, but if you would have told me that I was going to be a pastor while I was in college or really high school, you wouldn't have liked my answer back because I was rebelling from God. So one night I had an extremely bad breakup. So the person I thought I was going to marry dumped me. I know, that's sad.
Oh, man.
So
Something you had to cope with. I'm sure.
yeah. So
Go with that.
give me just a minute because I'm going back in time. Give me just a minute. And so I remember wanting to end my life. Seriously. So I remember that I was in track at the time. I was running high hurdles. And so I had some muscle relaxers. And so I thought, hey, what's it going to be like? The pain inside me was really bad. And I remember God saying, what's going to happen to you? What's going to happen to your family? And so at that moment, I knelt down. I asked Christ to be able to be in control. And I started that journey to go towards into ministry, whatever he wanted.
Wow, that's an amazing story. I never knew that about you.
Yeah.
I really didn't. I mean, we've been working together for, how long have you been on staff?
I've been on the staff for 6 years.
6 years. So yeah, we've been working together for 6 years and learned something new.
There you go.
So wow, that's a really
Yeah.
amazing story. I think
Thank
that's
you.
something that, I mean, how many of you guys ever faced a really hard breakup? I mean, and it's kind of made you spiral down. I mean, there's a pretty cool story of someone who went through that and you're on the other side of it.
Heard the call of God, and I just started following the Lord.
Cool. Okay, here's another question I have for you. What's the weirdest funeral or oddest funeral you've ever done?
The oddest funeral. Well, I can tell you what probably the most unusual funeral. One of the oddest funerals I ever did was for a biker. So I did a biker gang member here in Fort Wayne.
Nice.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Nice.
And so that was probably the oddest because of some of the rituals they had. So to be able to sign their names on the casket, to being able to follow the hearse with their motorcycles all the way out to the burial site. So that was probably one of, I would say, the strangest. But I would say probably the weirdest was, and I think you've seen pictures of it, when we did a funeral, we had pastors we supplied, and the family was huge on Star Wars. And so they
I like where this is
hired,
going.
they hired Darth Vader to come to the funeral, and they had 2 stormtroopers on either side,
Yes.
of the casket, and Darth Vader
Oh, no.
was right there in front with his
Did he
little
give the eulogy?
respirator. What's that?
Did he give the eulogy?
He did not give the eulogy, but
I'm so
Kyle-
inspired right now.
Kyle Howard's on staff, and he was there helping with the service. And he made, as he's there, you've got the casket, you've got Darth Vader there with the respirator going, you've got a stormtrooper on either side of the casket, you've got those there in the audience that are watching, and Kyle made a derogatory remark about Darth Vader.
Oh, no.
Right. And Darth Vader just turns like this and looks at him and then looks back
Did
at
he
the
try and
audience.
force choke?
I
him?
tried, yeah. That's correct. So I would say for me, that was probably the family was huge on Star Wars. And so that was something that they wanted to be able to remember their loved one by. Mm-hmm.
Wow. That definitely probably ranks up there as the highest weird funeral thing
Iconic.
I've ever
I
heard.
would say, iconic. I would say memorable. I would say when you have to be able to perform a service with Darth Vader.
That's a big deal.
That is a big
I
deal.
don't want to say anything, but Luke Skywalker and I are friends.
So over the past, basically several months, we've all been doing life differently. I'm not going to avoid that conversation. We're not going to avoid that. We're just going to hit it head on. That's the reality. Nothing is like what it used to be. And so we've had to figure out how to get through this and navigate this, especially during those times when we were on our own in self-quarantine. So I want you guys to take a few moments, talk to someone, maybe get up and introduce yourself to someone. And so what did you do to basically help get your mind off of what was going on in the world to escape. What were the fun things that you did to enjoy life when you were in like self-quarantine? So take a few moments, stand up, go say hi to someone you don't know. And it's okay that you don't have a mask. Maybe just knuckle like this and that way to say hey. But take a couple minutes here, stand up, and basically let them know what did you do to basically have fun, entertain yourself during time stay at home restrictions. Go ahead.
Go meet somebody.
Go meet somebody.
I'm gonna go meet somebody. Welcome to the show. I feel like I gotta talk in the mic when I'm talking.
Instinctively, maybe. Yeah, probably really
Sweaty back
similar.
already. I
at
haven't
least
even done anything.
kind of early days. Yeah, I feel like the whole coping mechanism thing is something I'm slowly developing. Okay, like what works best for me. But yeah, routine is definitely a big one for me. And then just like yeah, yeah, being open to change and open.
I wish the people on YouTube had somebody to talk to.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't
It's like
understand
a
the word you said.
commercial break. We should have aired a commercial right
Yeah,
now.
all right. Well, actually, I'll do a commercial break right now. So, as you guys are talking, here's an update of what's going to be coming up. September 10th, we are going to be starting life groups, aka also known as small groups. So, if you guys want to have a seat, we're going to get continuing on here. But one of the big announcements that I wanted to get through to everyone so that you guys know this is happening and this is coming. We're going to continue the conversation. But one of the things that's going to be happening here at PCC Late Night, we're going to do life groups. And now we're going to get into basically what you guys know as small groups. And some of you were in them last year over the spring, and you had to get online and actually do it through Zoom instead of being in person for a while. But right now, we're able to do it in person. We're going to create small groups. And starting September 10th here on Thursday night, we're going to still do kind of that first night, one of our shows, but we're going to actually start breaking up into groups based on what night of the week, what location in town, and where you can meet to be a part of a group. And so we want to use this atmosphere here for you guys to get to know people. Instead of signing up into a random group in which you don't know anyone, we're hoping over the next several weeks you guys get to know each other. Because I look out here in this room right now, and yes, there are some familiar faces, but there are actually a lot of new people here. And
which is a great thing.
it is
I mean,
an
that's
awesome
amazing.
thing. So, like, if you feel like, wait, no one said hi to me, I really don't know anyone. The truth is, a lot of people don't know everybody in this room. And so it's going to take actually going out of our way to say hi to people and get to know each other. And that's part of the late night after party after this, where we go out to Dairy Queen and we hang out, that we get to have a little bit more fun, get to know one another. So if you want to really take this further and get to know people, hang out with us tonight afterwards at Dairy Queen on Coldwater. We're going to meet there at 8:30. You don't have to buy food. We're just going to hang out, have fun, do life together, and maybe continue the conversation of what we have going on here tonight. And so life groups will be starting September 10th. We'll do a 3-week study here at Pathway in this room. We'll break up into groups so you don't have to like meet outside for those 3 weeks. So you get to meet people here, be in a life group now. And then after those 3 weeks are up, hopefully we form those groups and are going to meet outside on different nights of the week. And then we'll start the live show up again. And you guys can come be a part of that as well as being part of a small group. So that's what's happening. That's what's coming up. And we can't wait for that to take place. Yeah. So, question here. What did you guys hear, or what was the number one thing you heard that people said as you're talking to different people that they used to cope? Work, okay?
Work. They said work. Work, work.
Who said work? Here, let's raise some hands here. What we got for work? Okay. What else? What other answers did you have?
Netflix.
Yes.
With you
Anybody
on that
binge
one.
on some shows they just hadn't seen before? All right, real quick here. We're going to do a little bit of survey. We'll go to the audience view here. How many of you have spent over this time 5 hours straight watching Netflix?
Oh,
Okay.
that's where.
All right, here we go.
at.
8 hours. Anybody do 8 hours?
Oh,
8 hours
Got one.
straight.
8 hours
8
straight.
hours.
Okay.
That's a whole work day. That's
9
a-
hours straight. 9 hours
9
straight.
hours.
Okay, we got 2 people running for 9. 10 hours straight. Oh my goodness. 11,
Wow.
12, 13.
Kirsten, what's the
13.
number? What's the number? 48.
48
hours?
Whoa, we got a new
Did
world
you
record.
sleep?
Did you
You
watch
slept.
all of Game of Thrones or something? How do?
What, yeah, what was? I kind of want to know what it
Wow.
was. If you're okay with sharing, what was it? Heart of Dixie.
Heart of Dixie.
Heart.
Anybody know what that show
Oh,
is?
parts.
Heart. Was it good? Was it worth it?
All
Well, I
right.
guess if you're looking for something.
Now, how long did you sleep after that was over?
Yeah, Kirsten, what was your sleep schedule like after that? You slept 8 hours after the 48-hour
Wow.
rule.
Okay. How many of you
I
guys?
respect that.
How many of you guys use your cell phone as an escape? Like it's kind of like a way if you don't like if it's an uncomfortable situation, you pop it out, and that's just kind of what you look at and do. All right. I would probably say that's probably my biggest coping mechanism. I don't like that about myself, but I probably am on my phone way too much, more than what I should be, and it's kind of my way I cope with things aren't like the way I like them.
Like
Would you-
Clash of Clans.
Clash of Clans doesn't take up as much time as it used to. I'm maxed, so it doesn't take any work.
He's maxed.
So,
Easy.
Colin, what do you do to cope?
Well, like healthy or unhealthy?
Unhealthy.
Yeah, it's so easy to binge watch YouTube videos.
Ooh.
Yes.
And I never got TikTok, but I could easily see how that could just turn into an endless stream of just video after video.
Anyone going to
Um,
cry when TikTok's banned? Anybody going to be sad?
I don't think
TikTok-
I think they're gonna buy it. Is it Microsoft that's gonna buy it? They're
All
gonna,
right, all right, all right.
gonna be the savior of all entertainment. You know, it's a big deal.
Mo, what do you do?
Are we going unhealthy answers?
Unhealthy.
Do we get to give healthy ones eventually? 'Cause I don't.
No, I just
No.
like
That's
doing
all I have
unhealthy.
anyway. Probably would go on the phone thing and YouTube. That's probably like my number one outlet that I watch from. Like I watch Netflix occasionally, but I like to watch a lot of YouTube. And I'm ashamed to say I've gotten a little into PewDiePie recently. So
Yeah, he's got some great videos though.
he does. And then at the end where he's
Who
like,
would you say?
"What? Let me
PewDiePie.
play two
He's the
minutes
number one,
today."
or was the number
I
one.
have no clue who that is.
He's literally the
All right.
most subscribed.
Who here knows who
YouTuber.
PewDiePie is? Raise your hand. Come on. I mean, that's like.
Wow.
do you not?
Okay.
He has like 100
See, we were walking
million.
through this store earlier today, and Byron said that I'm way too young because I didn't know who some guy was.
He didn't know
But
who
like the-
MacGyver was.
MacGyver.
Yeah, but like, hey, hold on a sec. But like, you can tell though that Byron doesn't know things that are in the times for us. So I feel like kind of fair. I feel kind of like.
I'm sorry.
even.
I don't explore the random.
Scott, do you know who
depths,
PewDiePie
the cesspool
is?
of YouTube.
I do not know
Oh.
who that is. I'm
What?
sorry.
You don't know who PewDiePie?
I know who MacGyver is. I know who Moses is,
What about Jesus?
but I'm not familiar. I do know Jesus, not
That's good.
personally.
You
Well, I
that's,
do know him personally.
that's all that matters.
You
That's
still
all that
watch the,
matters.
Lawrence Welk show.
I know Lawrence Welk.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay,
I
all right.
have seen that show before. I've heard about it. Mhm, that's correct. Mhm.
So you guys, you really want to do healthy things?
No, we don't have to. I mean, we'll talk about it as we're talking through the
Okay. All right.
stuff
All right.
tonight. So
So like,
I don't need to boast or anything.
We're
but-
just doing the priorities here.
okay.
Valuable
priorities.
information.
Okay. So we all know, if we're honest, we're at a faith, we're at a church, we're believers in Christ. When it comes to healthy coping mechanisms, we know what the healthy things are, right? You know, we're like, we should be reading our Bible more, right? Spending time in prayer,
Yes.
maybe listening to worship
Yes.
music instead of what's on the radio.
Yes.
You know, we know all the church answers, right? But in reality, that doesn't always play out, does it? You know, when we get home and we've had a hard day or whatever, you know, we just want to
watch Netflix.
disconnect. So the challenge is now that life isn't the way it used to be, because it is harder to do social things. If you're on campus right now, there are no social events that are going to be taking place. Well, I guess Tech, you guys are doing a virtual social event. Did you guys participate in that, by the way? No. That would be kind of strange, a virtual Zoom. You're on campus with students, but you can't like hang out with students. A concert online? In
That's
person?
actually kind of cool.
Whoa.
Oh, all right.
Oh wait,
wow.
in person?
Like
Okay.
live events? See, we don't need
Okay.
to be wearing
Maybe
our
I don't know what I'm
masks. We're
talking
fine.
about. All right. All right.
I'm kidding. Wear the masks.
Okay, all right. Well, hey, I'm glad to hear that because I was really concerned about like what life's going to be for life at college and hanging out in town and all that stuff going like how are you guys going to cope with everything that's going on? How are you guys going to figure out what's taking place? Because really what we're coping from is fear. I mean, the pandemic set fear in our lives in a way that we've never experienced before. A lot of it's fear of the unknown, fear of like what we're going to be walking into. We don't know if it's dangerous or not in whatever environment we're going into. And there are things that we talk about or laugh about, but like, you know, when it comes to fear, I think our biggest fear in life is probably dying. I mean, I'm not trying to go down a morbid path, but it is a true thing that we think about. And when it comes to that, I'm going to go to this question here. You know what's coming here. What is the worst way possible to die?
Well,
Drowning.
So I'm going there. I'm just going to drop it. So if you could just talk to your neighbor.
we're
real
not
quick.
going there anymore.
We're going
That's
there.
true. No,
We're
we
gonna-
are going
we're
there?
going there.
Oh my
Talk
god.
to your
I don't know.
neighbor. Tell them what you think the worst possible way to die is.
Moses?
I will always think drowning.
Monkeys being tickled to death by monkeys. Being kidnapped by Lyndon. You know, I will say though, Byron, that like the thought after death isn't necessarily scary.
No, it's the
It's just the thought of the actual
process
death. Yeah.
of.
Nah. Oh, stop.
You don't have like a choice.
Eating too much ice cream.
That would be the biggest rush for 60 seconds.
Yeah, there'd be a rush, and then there would be a.
All right, how many of you
stop.
guys said fire? Anybody say fire?
That's
Oh, yeah,
definitely the
fire would be-
worst.
How many of
I
you
mean,
said drowning?
that's definitely the
drowning.
worst.
100.
How about being eaten alive?
All of the
Oh.
above.
Wow.
No, that's not a.
Being bit by a shark carried underneath the water and having both happen at the
But
same
you'll probably
time.
go unconscious
Ooh,
before
okay.
you feel it.
Actually, I'll tell you real quick. My biggest fear is being buried alive.
We watched that movie.
I couldn't handle it if I were like in a
With,
in a coffin and buried alive.
No, there was a movie about that. The guy who's the
I can't watch that.
Ryan Reynolds. He gets
The-
buried in a coffin.
The magician.
Spoiler alert: he doesn't make it. Sorry, guys.
Wow. What,
You're one of those.
Mo? What did you?
It was made in the early 2000s. Okay, you had your chance.
Mo, what did you think? What was?
Drowning. hands
Drowning?
down.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like
While
buried
being eaten by
alive
a shark.
kind of goes with that. But
The suffocation.
yeah, suffocation. Because you're feeling all of that, you know? Like, I get eaten alive, but I'd probably pass out before I feel it.
That's actually really true.
But isn't the point of torture not to kill you?
Yeah, but at the end they might. I don't want to think about this.
All right. We'll end with Scott answering.
What's that?
With Pastor Scott answering.
Well, there's a couple answers. One is, milking a giraffe.
And then getting stomped
would
on
just
as
be-
you're doing it.
That
Oh my goodness.
That's very dangerous, I hear. I think too. The pastor in you says you don't want to die without Jesus. That'd be a worse
Uh-huh.
way to go.
Yes.
And I would say for me, if I was on a tall building and it was on fire and I had to jump off the building, that would be because you knew that there would be something at the very end of that. So that would be horrible.
but
I
that would
think.
be the most fun 60 seconds ever.
I think. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, really, when it comes to like, it's the fear that we have of dying that is really what can overwhelm us, and we can have a lot of anxiety and almost go to depression with everything that's going on around us. There's a lot of fear out there right now in the world, And so we're trying to figure out how to wrestle through that and how to cope with it. And Scott, you probably taken on a lot of people with counseling and hear what's going on with people who are really struggling with that. What are some practical ways that you've seen people deal, or how do people deal with that anxiety and that fear right
The anxiety, the fear. I think, what would you say is the opposite of fear? Peace?
now? Peace, yeah.
Never thought about
Opposite
that.
of
That's a
fear.
great question.
Not, yeah, not peace.
Bravery.
Not bravery.
Courage.
Sorry. Not courage. What do you think? No.
Not
Opposite of fear is trust. So the opposite of fear, you're afraid, is trust. And so I think when we deal with people on any stage and they're fearful or anxiety, you have to teach them how to trust and how to align with God. So most of our life, we're trying to align ourselves not with social media in order to have healthy coping mechanisms to disconnect from the things that make us fearful and then connect to the things that bring about trust.
trust. Yeah,
Correct.
that's great. Someone might need to get that tattooed on their arm or something. I don't that's a great tattoo. I don't fear. I trust.
Yeah. So I
All
think.
right, Colin, I'll see you at the tattoo shop.
No, not me.
Yeah, so I think in this day and age, with all the things out there that we're afraid of, and death and dying is something we're afraid of, the unknown. There's only been, for us, we know Jesus came back, but at that point, that's about it. So for us to be able to trust, find those levels of trust with Christ, with God, what's he doing, and how
Yeah.
can I align myself with him? So
to know that like God is still with us and he's still for us, even in the midst of the uncertainty.
correct, right. We said earlier when we were together, God never says, oops.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of him saying,
Wait,
oh,
That's
did
really
I
reassuring.
stutter?
yeah, I didn't know that.
Didn't see that one
surprises
coming.
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing catches him off guard. That's true.
And you don't school God or anything. You say, God, if I were you, this is what I would do. And so I think a lot of times the fear comes when we try to say, God, do you understand? And he's like, yeah, I do. Just I'll take you through this at that time.
And the Bible is full of people who were full of faith and trust.
Correct.
And one of the guys that we look up to a lot is, he wrote most of the New Testament. His name is Paul. And Paul went through probably more fear and pain and
Anxiety, jailed, beaten,
yeah,
shipwrecked.
you name it. Snake bitten.
Yep.
I mean, it was crazy everything he went through. And one of the passages he wrote in Philippians 4, I want to read this to us here tonight. It says this in 4:4, rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Now, that's a really nice Christian thing to say. I mean, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. It's actually a song. Have you guys ever heard that song? Rejoice
Can you
in the
sing it?
Lord always.
There we go.
And again, I say rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always. And
Good old
again, I say
vacation Bible
rejoice.
school days.
Didn't know you guys were going to get a
Rejoice,
worship
rejoice.
set
It
tonight.
becomes a round. If you've never heard a round, you know what a round is? It just goes on and on forever. It never stops. Well, I mean, that's really kind of like cliche and cheesy when we hear it said or sung like that. But here's something we got to remember about Paul. Paul, when he wrote that, he was in prison. And not the prisons that we have here today, here in the United States. He was in a dark, damp, disease-ridden, filthy prison. No comforts, no nothing. And not only was he in prison, but he was actually like handcuffed and chained to the guard as he was writing this. That's pretty intense. And here he is telling his fellow Christians, brothers and sisters, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. And here's what he says beyond this. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. And this is the tough part here. Do not be anxious about anything. Okay, how many of you guys are capable of doing that? Not being anxious about anything. Everyone's like, no, what are you talking about? I mean, they say that this generation has the highest level of anxiety and depression of any generation before it. In fact, they say that the level of anxiety and depression that you guys experience in the average person is what people were in basically put in a hospital for back in the 1960s. You guys live with that kind of anxiety and depression. Wow. And it's only going to get more intense as we navigate this world and everything that's going on. But it says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, and here's where the positive coping mechanism takes place. By prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Now, this is someone who, he knew what fear was. He knew what pain and torture was. He knew what uncertainty is. You know, I think the number one thing that we struggle with is the fact that we're not in control. And if we were in control, everything would be great, right? How many of you guys would like to be in control? Like you know that everything is going to be whatever you want, it's going to happen, you know, the situation. Yeah, I think
Would be nice.
it would be nice. It would make life a whole lot easier. You know, if your mom would just do what you told her to do, and when you know, it'd be
Your
so much
mom.
better, right?
You still live at home?
Or your roommate, or
no,
you know,
I'm not going any further than that.
don't go there, don't go
That's
there.
it.
Your spouse.
Nope. Wouldn't wish that.
But if we were in control, everything would be a whole lot easier. But the truth is, we're not in control. And we live in a world full of uncertainty. And this pandemic has thrown us into a world that's even more uncertain than what it ever was before. And we're looking for answers. And we don't have the answers. And so we're figuring out ways to cope. And so that's kind of why we've kind of brought up this conversation is like, how do we seek God in the midst of these struggles? Because if I'm honest, I struggle. When I start to worry and kind of like the tension ratchets up a little bit, I go to those unhealthy things and I binge out to kind of avoid reality of what's going on. I think we all do if we're honest. But how do we overcome that? How do we get past that point to where we could say, I'm going to rejoice in all circumstances? And so I'm going to put Pastor Scott Davis here on the spot a little bit. You know, you're working with people who struggle with the anxiety and the depression and with the worry and the fear and all those things. What advice do you have for our generation, this generation here? It's not my generation, but the emerging generation here, when you guys are dealing with this brand new thing that it's a challenge.
Right. Well, I think if we take a lesson from Paul tells us to rejoice, you know, in all situations, in all of the situation we find ourselves in, not for all the situations. I think sometimes God gets blamed for a lot of things. And I think for him, he wants us to rejoice and to trust him. So I don't know where we're at. I don't know where you're at in your walk with Christ. I don't know what you're facing, what those fears are. But I know that God, according to Psalm 139, knit us together in our mother's womb. He knows every stitch, every weave, every knot of our life. And even though we can't explain everything he does, even though Jesus walks with us side by side, arm in arm, hand in hand, he tells us to trust him. And so for me, during those most difficult times of my life, or if we have people that come to us in the care ministry, we have a great care ministry team, to be able to find out what it is, we want them to trust Christ more, and we want them to trust Christ more completely as well. So that, for me, would be, as we look forward, the post-COVID-19 generation, as we look forward to what God has in store for us, we already know that God's in the future. We already know that he's already at work in our future as well. But he says, just trust me. I'll take you through this.
So how do you do that? Like, how do you tangibly, like, if I were to go home tonight and be like, man, I just want to trust God more. Like, how do I do that?
Yeah, I think community has a lot to do with it. I think that you want to make sure that you are in a community of people who uphold you accountable, and you have to be transparent. Yeah. There are a lot of people.
That's good.
Transparency. So people, a lot of times you want to hold on to your fears, and you want to hold on to those things that you're scared of because you're afraid. You're afraid to be transparent, open, honest with others, and there's no forgiveness in secrets. And I think for us as Christians to be open and honest with those fears and be able to tell somebody about it as well.
That's good. So like, do you think it's even okay to tell God that we're scared and that we're anxious and that we're lacking trust? Like, can I tell God I don't trust you right now? Is that a
Sure.
fair thing to say? I mean, I feel like maybe that'd make me uncomfortable, but
yeah, no, I think pray about everything, worry about nothing. So I think to take things to the Lord, he's got big shoulders. And so if something's going on in your life, he is directly involved in wanting to know what you're thinking and feeling.
I love that.
So, because prayer, really, when you think about it, prayer is that relationship you have with God. He already knows our thoughts.
Mm.
Right. So, but you're taking it to him as a sign of obedience. You're saying, Lord, there's something in here I've got to get off my chest.
That's great.
So I would say that's what you do.
Amen. I love that answer, guys.
What are next steps for someone though who's saying that, like, you know what, I'm just in a dark, deep pit and I don't feel like I can get out of it on my own? What do you guys recommend for people who are in that place, or when they come to Pathway calling, asking for help? Because I mean, we don't know what's going on. We can't read minds.
Yeah.
Very well could
Yeah.
be someone in this room feels that way. So what advice do you give someone in that spot?
I would say two things. You know, you're sitting close by each other, you know each other. If you see something, say something. So I mean, you know that if people are struggling with things, and I really believe that the Lord gives us wisdom, and we see those things that he wants us to enter in with a relationship with others as well. So when you're in that deep, dark pit, you realize that Christ is there with you. And it's hard. You're right. There are a lot of people who are in a deep, dark pit and they don't exactly know what to do. We always tell people, just reach out. You took the first step by saying something.
Yeah.
Or if your friends sometimes see what you're going through, and you have friends that you know they're going through tough times, don't be afraid to be able to speak some things into their life and be able to be honest with them and say, you know, I know you're going through a tough time. How can I come alongside you? What can we do together? What can we do to be able to help you get out of that pit? So I say for those that are watching and for all those that go through those dark times, to be able to reach out and reach up. I know, and that's really easy to say. That's kind of a pat answer sometimes, isn't it?
Well,
Just trust God.
Can I just say something really quickly?
Sure, go right
Like,
ahead.
I don't know, 3 days ago, Deidre noticed there's something like really, really wrong. Like I don't know if I've ever been depressed before. I couldn't tell you if I've been depressed before, but I've never felt like this before. And I didn't even know how to like express that, even talk to Deidre about how I was feeling. And I just remember sitting there at the couch or on the table as we were eating dinner. I was like, man, I just don't feel good. Like there's just something wrong. Like there's a knot in my pit. I had so much going on in my brain right now. And I was anxious. And the thing that helped me find freedom and release from that was talking to people that I knew would listen, number one, and give me great advice. And I remember after verbalizing all of those things, it helped me find release because, I mean, I'm 23 years old trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. And it's hard. Like it's so hard, especially because I don't want to make mistakes. You know, I want to be perfect. You know, I want to, especially somebody who's trying to be a role model for other people. And I'm like, man, I don't have this whole thing together. And this past week, just talking to other people about what I'm experiencing, like Byron, you guys know Byron's a very goofy person, but like if I need to be calmed down and I just need to chill, like Byron's the person that I go to. Like, I don't know what it is, but Byron is just able to bring a level of comfort to me because like I'll sit there and I'll start talking to him. I'm like, wait, why am I worried? Like, I don't need to be worried about that. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And sometimes like maybe I don't know if I frustrate him, but I go to him with the same things, like the same problems over and over again, because I continually have to wrestle with them. But I think now just you saying that out loud, Scott, just helped me realize that that's what I did to find release from that anxious state that I was in.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what to do with it.
And I feel like for a lot of us, what comes natural when we're feeling anxious, when we're feeling depressed, is to isolate ourselves.
Yeah.
So like it's really grasping that this is what comes natural to me and I need to fight that, but also like being intentional with the people around you and like noticing, hey, I think they might be struggling or something's a little off. Like I should ask if they're okay. But yeah, I feel like usually what comes natural is what is going to keep us in a cycle of that anxiety, that depression.
Right. It was never God's intention for us to do life alone, ever.
Mm-hmm.
He put us in community, and we are emotional
Ever.
beings. And so he wants us to do life together, not alone.
And that's where, like said, it's not enough that we gather together in a room like this. This is awesome that we're in a room like this. And I'd love to see you guys keep inviting friends, share this online so that maybe people who normally wouldn't come to a place like this, but they can check it out before they come and say, you know what, that's actually pretty fun. I'll come be a part of that. But we really want to see you guys be in life groups. Like, and we really want to see you guys meeting throughout the week with 5 to 10 other people that you start to get to know better, and that level of comfort and transparency takes place to where you can be real and authentic and open about what's going on in life. And you don't have to have it all together. You don't have to be like, you know what, I know exactly what I believe and why I believe it, and this is my faith. I think the most real and open thing that you can do is to say, you know what, I grew up going to church, but you know what? I don't know if I really believe this. And to be honest about it. Because I bet you'll find out there are other people who feel the same way. And when you take that time to actually be real and honest, it's actually when God can actually help you move forward. But when you don't like talk about it, it's when it internalizes and becomes a struggle, and you're not able to actually move forward with what it is that God has planned for your life. And so we really, really, and I'm going to emphasize this every week, we're going to, the importance of getting into a life group. That if you want to take that next step, the thing that we're going to look at as a win here for what we do this next semester is that people are in life groups. The more people that are in a life group, the more that we know and believe that you're going to grow closer, and you're going to be able to actually help one another and do community, because we desperately need community right now to make it into that next step that God has for us. So,
Well, Byron, I mean, I would love to talk even just briefly. I know we don't have a tremendous amount of time left, but you sent me that podcast by Erwin McManus, and I would love to talk about some of the coping mechanisms
we can take a couple minutes here. And
well, because I look at that Philippians 4 verse, and that we were looking at earlier about do not be anxious about anything and rejoice in the Lord always. But verse 8 talks about, it says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice. So number one, scripture is telling us, think about the good things in life. Think about the things that God is doing. Think about all the amazing things that God has been doing, and then apply the truth that he's given to us into practice. It's not just enough to hear it. It's important to put what we're learning into practice. And so Byron sends me this podcast by this guy named Erwin McManus. He's the senior pastor of a church called Mosaic. And he's got a lot of great thoughts. And the podcast was on coping mechanisms. And one of the things that he says, as we're dealing with this COVID-19 quarantine business, he says that coping with the situation is not waiting for somebody to fix the problem. Like a coping mechanism is not waiting for it to end and be done with. Coping with it is finding ways to better yourself and your environment around you. You see, the thing is I think that God has things in store for us that we can do right now. I mean, Byron talked to me today about how 2020 has been a great year for him because he hasn't been so focused on the things that he's losing, but the opportunities that God is providing for him to reach people for the kingdom. And so, I don't know, can we just talk about that for a second? I mean, that's so powerful. I mean, changing your mindset, reframing what's going on around you.
Yeah, like what he was talking about the other day, my supervisor, Tyler, asked me, how I've been doing, what's going on. And I've been watching just like people kind of struggling with the fact that they're looking at, wow, we can't do this anymore this way. Oh, we have to do this now. And this isn't going to work the way we thought it would. And I'm going, I'm actually the opposite. It was just kind of weird. I'm going, okay, well, wow, we got to change everything up and do things we've never done the way we've never done it before. This is going to be fun. Like I would have never in my wildest dreams thought about trying to put something online that we do. Before the pandemic hit, I was like, yeah, why would I even want to do that? And now it's like, okay, how can we do this and how can we do it the best way we could possibly do it?
Yeah.
I've like, we haven't been able to be at church for a while. We are now just be able to be back at Pathway. But some people don't feel comfortable going to Pathway yet just because of, the pandemic. What greater opportunity than to host church in your home and do a watch party together? Yeah. And maybe people who normally wouldn't come to church, you can have over at your home and actually participate that way. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that we can do now that we wouldn't have had the opportunity to do before because we're put in this situation. I think it's exciting. I think it's actually going to be really what takes us as the church into a new level of authenticity. Because I think it's forcing us out of a status of certainty and comfort, which is what I think we've based our faith on, to now really saying, I'm going to trust God into the unknown. Because things are so unknown now. And that's really what faith is. Trust in the unknown. Knowing that God doesn't give us a clear-cut plan that we can say, like GPS, turn here, go left here, go right here. But we're going to hear your voice and we're going to go forward. And we're not for sure how things are going to turn out, but we're going to trust you. And we're going to know that you're a good God and that things may never go back to the way they were, but it's going to be better. We're going to trust that you're going to use this situation to allow us to make things even better than they were before. And that's the hope that we have, that God actually wants to use us as Christ followers to bring hope to those around us, that we don't have to wait for things to go back to normal, but we can actually be innovative, creative, and actually have joy in our lives, like Paul said, to help those around us.
Develop those good disciplines.
And that really is a preview for next week. Next week, we're going to do a closing thought here, but next week, Tyler Ward, our adult ministry pastor, is going to be on. We're going to talk about how the church has really fallen into the trap of certainty and comfort as being what we worship. How we've kind of got trapped in this idea that if we're going to think, when we know God is good, when we know what's going to happen, and we know that things are comfortable, and now we're out of that. What do we do? And then also, we're going to have a couple people on next week that are going to talk about how they've shared their faith with their friends as a result of things. So each week we're going to change things up, but we're looking forward to it. And I want to give it over to Scott real quick here. If you have anything last thing that you want to close us with.
Well, I think just a couple things. One is you have today. You're right. You don't know what tomorrow holds, but God says that you've got today. Make the most of it. He wants you to live day by day, moment by moment. A lot of times we look at tomorrow. What's tomorrow going to have for me? But Jesus says to us, just make sure that you do and are faithful with what I've given you today. I think, too, that our task in life is to be able to align ourselves with God. So it's not we're always going to agree, but we want to do things not because it's the right thing to do, but because it aligns us with God. A lot of people say, I'm going to do the right thing. Well, I understand that. But we want to do it because it aligns us with God. And Jesus loves us so much that he goes with us side by side, arm in arm, hand in hand. In a world that does not know what's going to happen or how long we're going to have to wear masks or how long we talk about coronavirus or the post-COVID-19 generation, all those things are going to change, even though the world has changed, Jesus hasn't.
Amen.
So
that's a great truth. That's what we need to walk away with. That's praiseworthy.
There you go.
On.
That's a good
great,
thing
guys.
to remember. Everything has changed, but nothing has changed when it comes to Jesus.
Yes.
So that's what I'd leave you with.
Cool. Thank you, Scott. Hey, well, we're going to close things up here, and we'd like the conversation to continue when we go out to Dairy Queen. We don't want to leave this conversation staying here. So we want to hang out together. We're going to be there, meet there at 8:30 on Coldwater. And it's just a great way for us to connect and grow a little bit more. If you've got questions and you want to talk to someone, say hey, say hi. I'm going to be there. If you want to talk to me, I'll gladly talk to you about what's going on in life. And maybe I can help in some way or another, or just pray for you. We want to be there for you and pray for you. But before we close out tonight, I actually want to close this in prayer. And Mariah, would you be open for closing this in prayer?
I sure can.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, Mo.
Hey, Jesus, I just want to first off thank you. Thank you for just giving us this opportunity that we can still meet together and we can see these faces, even if there are some masks involved and distancing involved, God. We still have that blessing to see each other. And even if they're not here in person, we can still connect through online. And the fact that you've given us that ability is just so awesome. So we thank you for that. We thank you for Scott and for Byron and Colin and everyone here, just the words that have been spoken today about this whole idea of coping, God. Um, we know in times like these with COVID on the loose and all this uncertainty, God, it's so easy for anxiety or depression or a lot of those thoughts to creep in. And we know that you're there working in the midst of it. So we just pray that you would help us to make you who we go to in these times and make you what we trust, Lord. We know that you're going to continue to guide our steps, and we thank you so, so much. I pray that you would bless this time that we're going to have after at Dairy Queen and just make the conversations fruitful as well. In your name I pray. Amen.
And wait, hold on a sec. And like Byron said, look, you guys don't have to buy food. Just come hang out with us, you know? Like, just think about that as like an after party hangout place.
Yep,
you know? I mean,
exactly.
last time we were there, we had somebody pull up with a car and we were doing some dancing. I mean, it was it was great. So just come hang out with us.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week.